Posted by you/bathtub mermaid. My boyfriend, 25M, is my 26F rock, and I'm his. He literally tells me that all the time, including yesterday. We've been together for 5 years and have a truly wonderful relationship, always talking, laughing, and comfortable with one another. We are able to communicate healthily even when we disagree. After surviving abuse as a child and struggling with unhealthy romantic relationships in the past, the fact that we love each other in a respectful, secure, and profoundly healthy way is truly my biggest blessing. I wake up every day so happy and grateful for him. He is an incredible man with so much drive, intelligence, kindness, and gifts to give the world. About a year and a half ago, it came up for the first time that we saw ourselves getting married one day. It was such a beautiful moment, and it rocked my world to be vulnerable, say those words, and have him say them too. Since then, it's been something incredibly happy that I get to hold in my heart and look forward to. The subject has come up sporadically since then, but I haven't wanted to push it too far since we are young, and it is very much an eventually thing. Both of our parents are divorced, and his come from money. He received a lot of strong advice growing up not to marry young and to protect his assets, to see it from a more financial perspective than I ever have. Nevertheless, the thought makes me happy, and we often daydream about the future we'll build together, the little house in New Hampshire we hope to buy and the dogs and chickens we'll have. These are conversations he participates in and brings up on his own all the time. I want to be able to talk casually about the marriage aspect too, going to bed with a sleepy can't wait to marry you or love of my life, but for some reason, recently, whenever the subject has come up, he's clammed up and made it feel really serious. This culminated maybe 2 months ago with a really weird conversation in which I sensed he might not have processed what marriage really means in the way that I had, and that he wasn't ready to be talking about this in the way that I was or as much as he had let on. I told him I don't want to pressure him or anything, this is just something that makes me happy to think about and talk about, and I tell him everything. I said I love him for him, that I'd wait as long as he needs, but that I firmly didn't want to bring up the subject again until he was comfortable discussing it. I wanted to relieve the pressure on him, and I haven't mentioned it since. Well, yesterday we spent a really lovely day getting lunch and hiking with my family. They live far away, so we don't see them very often. My stepsister and her fiancé were there as well, and of course, there was a little bit of light conversation about their upcoming wedding. My boyfriend was his usual friendly, easygoing self. I noticed he seemed quiet on the way home and later that evening, so I asked if he was worried about work, but he just said he was tired from a long day of traveling. I made him a drink, kissed him on the forehead like I always do, and promised we could do whatever he wanted to relax that night. I just did what I normally do when I can tell he's stressed, try to show empathy and take care of him. But then, as I was making dinner, he came over to me and dropped this bomb. He came over crying and said that spending time with an engaged couple and even barely talking about their wedding had sent him into a panic, and he didn't know if he could ever see himself getting married. I was completely blindsided. I tried to process what he was saying, but it was like my brain was stuck. Evidently, he had been locking himself in his office at work all week, crying about this. I kept asking him why he would say he wanted to marry me if he didn't. He basically said that he was lying, that he wanted to give me what he knew I wanted to make me happy. I could only just stare at him, open-mouthed. I kept trying to pinpoint if he was saying, I don't think I'll be ready to get married for a long time, or I don't think I'll ever be ready to get married, and I really don't think he knows himself. I don't think he has put any kind of mature thought into marriage at all. It was like talking to a scared child. He kept saying things about not knowing where his career will lead or if he'll have money. He has a great job, an outstanding network, and is definitely not poor, neither of us are, and I was just like, we're a partnership. You wanted to be with me yesterday, you want to be with me today, do you want to be with me tomorrow? Yes, he said. I said, well, that's all that matters. We have a life we love, and we'll take on the future together when it comes. I'm devastated. He left for his mother's house, and I don't know when he'll be home. I can't take another sleeping pill or my heart will stop, but I can't sleep a wink. I literally spiked a 100-degree fever and spent all night sweating and freezing. I had no idea it was possible to be in so much pain that it makes you physically sick. This person is the bedrock of my life. We have always had rock-solid confidence that we can trust each other, be vulnerable around each other, and be our full authentic selves without inhibition or fear of judgment. We share everything together, and we are best friends. He even said that over and over as he sobbed and told me he loved me and that he didn't want to get married. Hours ago, I had the most beautiful and solid relationship in the world. Now I don't know if we're going to break up. I'm reeling. I feel like I've been stabbed in the back by my safe space. The earth fell out from under me, and I don't even know what to think anymore. First update 2 weeks later. I just want to say thank you to every person who commented. I was in an absolute state while writing my original post and truly thought 8 people would see it. I read every comment. The kind and empathetic advice I received gave me a little bit of hope and peace as I waited, and that was basically the only reason I was able to eat lunch those first 2 days. I want to thank all of you for that. The long and short of it is, he left me. I called him the next day, asking when he would come home. He told me he needed a day to think, but he was talking like we were broken up. I asked him to at least tell me we were still together, but he wouldn't. So yeah, he just torched it in pretty much an instant. I had been leaning a lot on the kind words I received from folks who reassured me that one fight does not need to derail everything we've built over the last 5 years. I took the perspective that the question of marriage was something we'd need to discuss seriously and hopefully through therapy to arrive at what both of us want. I had no idea he would just upend the table with no warning, without ever expressing his feelings or giving us the chance to address it with even a single conversation. So many of the comments I received revolved around the question, is not marrying him a deal breaker for you? Would you be okay with simply a long-term relationship? I don't know. I would have to search my soul for that answer. But I didn't even get the chance. He made that choice for me. 5 beautiful years, and he just freaking left. Needless to say, there were a million better ways to handle this, ways that would honor his fears and feelings while still showing me an ounce of respect as his partner and someone who loves him. This situation deserved a conversation, and even if we had still reached the same conclusion, I would have understood. But this? It's not what I deserve. I did see him one night, and we've been texting. He said all this awful stuff about how he was just trying to tell me everything I wanted to hear and how I wouldn't like the person he really is underneath all of his people-pleasing. He's got a lot of this don't talk about it just run behavior in his family, including in his parents' relationships. My partner has always said he doesn't respect this kind of behavior and talked vehemently about how his values are different. Then he just did the same thing. When I wrote my original post, I wanted nothing more than to continue living our happy day-to-day life together. But given this entire nightmare, space is the only thing that can do anything for either of us at this point. He has no idea what he's feeling or how to talk about it in a healthy way. My dad had the simplest take and yet said it best, he's immature. He needs to work on himself, and I hope he does. As for me, I'd be an idiot to still want to marry him, knowing this is the kind of thing he's capable of. So, we've got to break our lease. Apartment hunting while still reeling from this 180-degree flip in my life has been terrible. We moved to this city together, and pretty much every friend I have, I met through him, so I'm really scared it will mean losing a lot of other people I love too. It's going to be expensive and miserable to live on my own, and I'm still grieving my sweet love and the life I thought we were going to have together. I gave 5 years of my life and so much of myself to being one half of that partnership. I never wanted to be on my own again, and now I am. I still love him, but I can't wait around while he fixes himself, or pine foolishly, hoping one day he'll wake up and be ready for me. I don't want to stand on my own 2 feet, but that's just what I have to do.